We are here at Mint Cannabis in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and on this pop-up episode of Spooky Tales, we talk with the legendary Ari Lehman, the original first Jason. So back when you were first cast as Jason Voorhees, what were some of the things going through your mind, some of the thoughts going through your mind?
Oh my gosh, well, it was a different type of experience because I didn't exactly get cast as much as was selected for the role because, okay, the movie that I was cast for was also directed by Sean Cunningham. And okay, so I was a kid who wanted to be in movies, but I could also play soccer. And he was making a movie about a bunch of orphans who win their orphanage back from the mafia in a soccer tournament. It was called Manny's Orphans. And so that's the movie that I snuck into the audition for and landed an 80-line role as Roger. Okay, Roger, the kid who was like the wingman of the lead role, who was trying to sneak his sister off as a boy in the orphanage, right? So it was one of those 80s kind of movies. But so Paramount Pictures passed on Manny's Orphans because it was all about soccer and nobody played soccer in 1978 in America. So that, I guess you could say, fortunately, gave rise to Sean Cunningham having the idea of doing Friday the 13th because he had seen the success of Halloween. And he just said, I know, Friday the 13th. And now he had to run around and put together all these parts based on a script that Victor Miller came up with about a summer camp. And part of that was about a little boy who drowned in the lake. And so at first they were going to select Noel Cunningham, who was Sean Cunningham's son. But his wife said, no way, I don't want to watch my son drown on screen. So it was kind of like the old Life cereal commercial. When they were trying to decide who would eat the Life cereal, they came up with this kid, Mikey. Mikey'll do it. So I was basically the Mikey of the whole situation. They said, wait, who will do this? And they said, Steve Miner, the producer, said, let's call Ari. He'll do it. And sure enough, they called me up, and Sean Cunningham said, famously, can you swim? And I said, yes, I can swim. And so they said, okay, you got the part.
How old were you when you were in
I was 14 when they shot Friday the 13th in 1979, and it was released in 1980. Okay. Yes.
And how long did you have to stay in that body of water?
Well, you see, it seems like I went through some sort of arduous challenge in the water there, but it wasn't like that at all. In fact, I loved swimming and loved swimming back then and always enjoyed swimming. And in fact, it wasn't, see now there's two sequences that were shot to answer your question. The first sequence is when Mama is saying, he was my only son and today is his birthday. He wasn't a very good swimmer. And little Jason is drowning, and he says, kill her, Mommy, don't let her get away. And he's drowning. And she's talking to the flashback. So the flashback, of course, that's me. And that's what we initially submitted to Paramount Pictures. Paramount Pictures said, it's not testing well. We need a different ending. So long story short, Tom Savini and others came up with the final sequence, and they called me back in October of 1979. We had wrapped in August. So in October, we filmed the famous final sequence where little Jason comes up out of the lake and grabs poor Alice and drags her into the lake. And Paramount loved it after they saw that sequence. And they distributed Friday the 13th in 800 theaters across the country on the same day so that would have the maximum shock effect and there wouldn't be the word of mouth telling everybody, watch out for that little boy at the end.
And speaking about that moment, that final moment in the film, looking back at that moment, how do you feel about it being such an iconic scene and just all of horror?
Well, you know what it is? That was a happy accident because so many things came together to make that scene just movie magic. It's like at the end you have the lake and it's morning and the beautiful sun is just on the lake. It's a symbol of everything is over, everything is fine. And the girl is in the boat. I don't know why she got in a boat, one might wonder, but she got in a boat with no paddle and she's in the middle of the lake. And then the policemen show up. And there's one policeman gets out and two policemen get out. So this is definitely saying everything is fine, everything is over. And then whammo, the little boy jumps out of the lake covered and encrusted in lake muck. And it's absolutely shocking because of the music by the great Harry Manfredini. Because they've betrayed all your trust as an audience member. It's no longer about what's going on in the movie. It's also what's going on in the theater. And they're playing on the expectations almost in an unfair way. Just like they did at the beginning of the movie, where Annie gets her throat slashed. She jumps out of the car and then she gets her throat slashed and everybody thinks, oh, they're gonna turn away at the last second. But no, they don't. And they even though it was, again, in both cases, low budget, independent horror film, but it was playing on the expectations of the audience and it worked magnificently well. And in many ways, there was a lot of skill and a lot of restraint used, but also I think we were darn lucky that people just loved the scene. Also, I don't know, Sean Cunningham, for my own part, gave me a lot of license to do whatever I was gonna do. He essentially said, go out in the water, the cameras are rolling, when the bubbles clear, that's action. So come out of the water, because he wanted to trick poor Adrian King to being afraid for the first take. And then the second take we did a little more, I don't know, not as frighteningly. We did the second take. So it came out so wonderfully, but I don't know if Sean actually thought that I was gonna come out with a ferocity. Maybe he thought I was just gonna kind of come out like a dead body, like, oh, the child is dead, he's just gonna flop over like a dead thing. But we didn't have much time to shoot, and I came out with a sort of, vengeance, like, bitch killed my mom. So she's going down, and I had thought about that. I had thought about how little Jason would feel. And also I had even put thought into him being a special kind of child, a special needs child, and how this was kind of a moment of silent revenge for those special needs kids who never really get a voice, you know what I'm saying? And even though I debated in my mind, would this be a bad thing? But then I thought about it. It's a movie, and in a movie, we get empowered. We're even empowered by Big Jason. We're empowered by Mama, even though what she's doing is wrong. She kills all those counselors. It's as annoying as they are, it's still wrong. But so if I afforded those kids any sort of courage, and of course to be a good kid and to be good to Mama especially, okay? And I found that is what happened these many years later when these kids come up to me and they just run up, so all the kids on the spectrum who I'm blessed to have as friends, and they come up and they're, Ari, they love me, so I love them.
With Friday the 13th being released, did your own mother see the film when it came out?
In all honesty, my mom, Rita Lehman, a wonderful, wonderful lady, an interior designer, an artistic woman, but also very down-to-earth, sweet lady, and a professional, but horror music was not her thing. No. I mean, horror movies, nor metal music. She loved that I was playing jazz as a young man, and I got a scholarship to NYU so I could be around her in New York. But no, sadly, it wasn't until after she passed away that I got so much notoriety for being the first Jason. Betsy Palmer, in a way, having found out that my mom passed away when I was around 20, then she kind of became, although my mother would never stand for me saying this, but she became, I guess you could call my stage mom, or kind of, she would call me up and give me great advice. One thing she said to me was, "Fuck Hollywood. I don't want to sit around waiting for the phone to ring and to be someone's mom." She said, "I love doing dinner theater, and I can memorize." She was memorizing plays. You got to remember, Betsy Palmer was a Broadway star, and she was in plays like Gigi and all the. She had lead roles in movie with Henry Fonda and Jack Lemmon, and you know, she just amazing actress. So I just loved her so much, and she kind of filled in, I guess, you know. Although nobody ever really fills in for your real mom. But here we are in a dispensary, and I will say this, that Betsy and I would smoke weed together, and she very often would say, "Ari, pass the joint, it's not a microphone."
What inspired you to start your own band?
Well, you see now, after some time, Tony Timpone of Fangoria magazine kind of found out where I was, and eventually I was invited to the event at the Meadowlands called Chiller Theater, Fangoria, and Kane Hodder was there, Betsy Palmer was there, Tom Savini was there, and I met so many lovely fans, and it dawned on me that, see now at that time I was doing world music and reggae for Interscope Records and Tough Gong Records, which was big in the 90s, all that world music. I mean, now we have Bad Bunny is back doing, you know, Latin music, which is I love, because I actually came up doing reggae music, and African music, and I got to play with some of the great Latin musicians, and just respect all of that music so much. So that's, I even got a standing ovation at the Apollo Theater. Wow. Soloing as the only American in an African band, which was pretty wild experience. And we went on tour, and I did that whole trip. But see, now when I got to that event, it dawned on me, wow, you know, horror fans love metal, and horror fans love punk. So maybe I should create something that's like a punk metal concept, hence First Jason. And it was, well, two people that really helped me. One was the person who had been a drummer for the Cro-Mags when their drummer was subbed out. So, and he was called Amit Cleaver. Amit Cleaver helped me a lot, and also there's a band called Macabre, which is a murder metal band from Chicago, and they had a hiatus, and their bass player, Nefarious, is on my first 2 records. He helped me a lot, and he's the one who kind of kicked my ass to start playing the keyboard, and that's how I came up with the Machete Keytar, which I'll be playing tonight at the Music Factory in Battle Creek. We're really looking forward to that. And we just tore it up at the Milwaukee Horror Con for their after party, so that was sensational. And yeah, we just did a new album, by the way, Reese, that's on CDN Records, which is a collaboration with Harry Manfredini, the soundtrack composer of Friday the 13th. And we're really stoked about that. The album is called Into the Fray.
I've seen some posts that you just finished filming a music video, am I correct?
Yeah, no, thank you for pointing that out, Reese. We have a song from the album called Foul Deeds. So that song, we stole the words from William Shakespeare play Hamlet. So there's a independent horror filmmaking company called Forever Entertainment, and they said, "Hey Ari, what if we fan fund this and we make a music video for you?" And they did, and it stars some of my friends and fans because they contributed to be a part of it, and they showed up with costumes. and they got an Airbnb, which is like an old mansion in Pittsburgh of all places. Wow. But then I put two and two together. So, well, first of all, my buddy Richie Vomit, who did this tattoo and other tattoos that I have, this one too, he is from Pittsburgh. So he ended up playing the Ghost King, you know, from the beginning of Hamlet. And then, okay, so Tom Savini's special effects school is in Pittsburgh, and they sent over 3 students to help us, and it was so much fun. So you can check out that video. It's like a very, it's like a scary Shakespeare vibe called Foul Deeds. Of course, first Jason, and it's on YouTube now. We're very excited with that.
With touring, I know you've been to Michigan a few times throughout your touring career. What would you say keeps bringing you back here?
Oh, there's so much great rock and roll in Michigan. Of course, the Juggalos love Michigan. And, well, many times it's been our friends Twisted, who are based out of the Detroit area, who are one of those from that whole, we've done their event, Astronomicon, which is an amazing event. And then there's also there's another big event in that our friend Tommy Brunswick runs in Detroit. What is that one called? It's Motor City Nightmares. Oh, yes. Motor City Nightmares. That's another great event, and we've performed at that. And yeah, I mean, there's just an amazing array of places to play throughout. We've even played as far north as Alpena, Michigan, at one time. But I don't know if we've ever played in Battle Creek. And many times people have told me to get thee to Battle Creek because there seems to be a cool arts kind of community there. And I love the vibe in Kalamazoo. I'll tell you that much. Kalamazoo has a great arts community and a lot of amazing fun nightlife, as we all love.
Now, over the years with touring and being on the road,
yes,
are there any experiences that have happened on the road or while touring that just stand out to you? Any experiences on the road?
There's so many experiences because being part of this huge horror family, which is, there's horror conventions, and there's horror-themed rock bands, and there's haunted attractions, and there's hearse enthusiasts, and there's horror burlesque troops and tattoo artists. It just goes on and on and on. So some of the most incredible experiences. Well, one time we were invited to play at this mansion. Which is it's near Dallas, well, just outside of Fort Worth, and it used to be a brothel that was apparently at one time frequented by Laurel and Hardy or something, yeah, like way back in the day. So it was a secret, and so we were to perform in the lawn, and so people showed up and we did a meet and greet, and we performed there. And then, but the way that they paid us was we were allowed to stay overnight in this haunted place. Yeah. And I was so tired. I got in this room and there's like all these dolls, all these dolls on the bed, and I was just like, I just kind of moved them over, and I could hear all kinds of voices, and the room was just filled with ghosts, but I went to sleep, and that's one of many fun experiences that we've had. And I think Eddie Machete, our guitar player, stayed up all night listening for ghosts with one of those devices.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
You'd have to ask him what he found.
Absolutely.
But and among some of the most memorable events with the band, of course, we've gotten to open for Ice Nine Kills several times. I sang on an Ice Nine Kills song called Thank God It's Friday, the acoustic version. Thank you to Spencer Charnas, who's such an amazing artist. And so they invited us to perform at Silver Scream Con, which is a great event, and we've done that several times. The second time, there was 10,000 people there, which is amazing. And they were like, oh, will the crowd show up at the beginning? Because first Jason was performing first. First Jason, TX2, Avatar, In This Moment, Ice Nine Kills. And the people showed up en masse, and they opened the gates and they just flooded in, and my heart was racing. But you know, we knocked it out of the park for you know, little horror punk band that we are. And I got off stage. I remember the guy from Avatar said, "You killed it, man," because they're from Finland. And their outfits though, that's what inspired me to get some clothing. I saw the guy from Avatar. I said, "What am I look like a schlub out here." So I got me some little clothes in Chicago. Thank you, Avatar. But so it's all about a learning experience, and we love being a Roadhouse band. Just last weekend, we ripped the roof off of MKE Ultra in Milwaukee, which is a small punk bar. It was the after party for Milwaukee HorrorCon, and it went so great. Okay, maybe you guys can relate to this because it's Wisconsin. I know Wisconsin, Michigan, but Wisconsin, they have this kid who wears a Jason mask with a big cheese head. That's right. He's Jason Voorhees, and he was at the show with his parents, and you know, because it was an all ages punk club, that kind of thing. So there you go. I think that right now it's a great time for live music. I think people are getting a little tired of having AI thrown at them constantly. Although there is some good AI out there. I won't say there's none.
Has there been a unique item or per se weird item fans have brought for you to sign?
Oh my gosh, I've signed everything. One of the weirdest things I ever signed was a shotgun. And we were in North Carolina, way out in the middle of nowhere, doing an event at an amazing haunted attraction there, which is a lot of fun, out in the woods. And yeah, so I noticed this one young man, and he looked kind of shy, and you know, he kept looking at me as I said, you know, what is it, man? He said, "I wanted you to sign my shotgun, man." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, go get the shotgun." So he brings the shotgun for me to sign, and then he goes, "Will you sign my pickup truck?" So I'm like, okay. I signed his pickup truck, and he said, "My dad's in the. I'm not signing your father, okay?" No. But no, I get to meet the most amazing people, and I have signed babies and just about every body part imaginable, and so many people have, which is such an honor. Like I'll sign their tattoo of Jason, and then they get it tattooed, and that is like, wow, it's such an honor. So every day for me is another wonderful, surrealistic horror experience, and that's because of the fans who make it so much fun.
What's entail for the future of First Jason, and also for you with film and music?
Well, thank you. Yeah, we're so excited with the new video being out and the new album Into the Fray being out there, which, by the way, is a collaboration with Harry Manfredini, the soundtrack composer. So Cam Schwartz, the guy who runs CDN Records, said to me, "Hey, why don't you ask Harry, see what he'll do to participate with you for the new album?" So Harry is the sweetest guy in the world, okay? And he says, "Okay, Ari, I got you." He listens to the tracks. I don't know, maybe a month later, he goes, "Look in your inbox." And he sent us, so there were 7 songs, and he sent us 7 introductions, 7 instrumental introductions, one for each song, which reflect the music of each song, which is so humbling and so amazing. And I can't tell you how much it meant to me, but also, more importantly, it makes it an amazing listen. It's like, now it's like a Pink Floyd album or something.
If you could go back and talk to a younger version of yourself before Friday the 13th, before that, what would you say to him?
I would say, To little Ari, I would say you should play more spin the bottle with that chick from the beach with the bikini.
Yeah.
Come on, dude. You're wasting your time. No, I would tell him, UFOs are real. Get out of here. No. What would I tell little Ari? No, what I would really say is, you know what? Imagination is important, and that we've always got to remember to use our imagination. And little Ari walked right into that YMCA and landed that role. And you know, and just don't overthink things and just go for it, which is what I always did. And to use your imagination, you know, because that's what's so important. And to, you know, remember that even a monster, the biggest monster that ever lived, whether it's like Godzilla or King Kong or even the Death Star, was just an idea in a writer's head a long time ago. And it's our imagination that makes that monster real. So somehow little Ari became a monster, which is, how did that happen? I don't know.